Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am the Maize Madman. Before we get started, hit the like and subscribe button for me and the notification bell. It costs you not a penny to be a little friendly. Today we are discussing Michigan losing some veteran players in the transfer portal, plus Michigan making the top 7 of a certain wide receiver and the top list for the number 2 running back in the entire country. All that, and of course, I'm upset. Eureka. Einstein on the brink of the theory of relativity. Really, no MC equal. Let's get into it. Michigan just unloaded. Let me not say unloaded. That seems like, it was premeditated and they cut some guys, but that's not really what happened. Michigan just lost some veteran players to the transfer portal. It started with AJ Henning, the senior wide receiver who entered the portal earlier today. Followed that with RJ Moulton, the veteran defensive back, entered the portal, and now veteran linebacker Micah Green has thrown his name into the portal hat. Why is this happening, you might ask? The answer is clear. Young guys are starting to press these veteran players for these positions, right? You got transfers that are taking some of these roster spots and spots on the depth chart, if you will, for somebody like AJ Henning, who has been, considered a third, fourth, fifth wide receiver his entire time at Michigan, and that was last year even. You have now a guy like Tyler Morris, the rising sophomore, who is projected to be the slot receiver, the starting slot receiver over AJ Henning this upcoming season. So you have things like that. Of course, you couple that with the fact that these guys are nearing the end of their collegiate eligibility. There we go. And they want to play. They want to see the field. They want to get more playing time, and try to keep that dream alive for making it to the next level, if you will. A guy like RJ Moulton. Let's move on to RJ Moulton. He has been a solid player for Michigan, a good safety, even, if you will. Can't catch really, but that's why he's on defense, so we're not gonna hold that against him. And RJ, if you're listening, I mean no disrespect, I'm just doing what I have to do here, right? Anyway, you have now, he's in a situation where young guys are pressing for these positions, right? At safety, you have Rod Moore and Makari Page, who are probably going to be the seniors, and both of those guys, Rod Moore, a redshirt sophomore, Rod Moore, and then Makari Page, of course, the senior safety who was probably never going to not be the starter this season, right? He's that good, and he's that important to Michigan's defense. But when you dig a little deeper, you look and you see the Keon Sabs of the world, the Damani Dents of the world, the Zeke Berries of the world, right? These are all guys who were freshmen last year, redshirt freshmen, who are coming up. The Caden Colstars, who is a senior, but had a pretty decent spring camp. Quentin Johnson had a pretty decent spring camp. So all of these things matter, and you have to take all of that into consideration when you are nearing the end of your collegiate career. And I understand some of these guys wanting to move on, not to mention for all the attrition that Michigan had today, right, with losing these 3 veteran players. A school like Colorado just lost like 13 players to the transfer portal in like a matter of hours. So, maybe these guys are going to fill some of those spots. Who knows, right? And then when you move on to Micah Green, was he going to start over Michael Barrett even? Probably not. Was he going to start over Junior Colson? Absolutely not. Ernest Hausman has already came in and is pushing those guys for, reps. So there's that. You have a rising sophomore, Jimmy Rolder, at linebacker. So it all works out in the end. These guys are going to get what they want, and Michigan is going to have, these roster spots freed up, these scholarships freed up, right, for what they are trying to do in the 2024 class and beyond. So this kind of attrition was expected. Maybe some of the names are shocking, but definitely expected Michigan players to be in the transfer portal. It wasn't like we were impervious, or Michigan was impervious to the transfer portal themselves and attrition on that side. And look, Michigan may be replacing them with transfer portal players. You have to keep that in mind as well, especially when you think about that cornerback number 2 position that I just talked about on my last video, and how that is kind of undecided right now for Michigan. If they can get a player in the portal to shore that up, then I see them taking that player. So there is that as well. It may not even be done, right, with the transfers or with players entering the transfer portal, because a player, I don't want to say any names, but there are rising, or even redshirt freshmen who were highly touted last season that may be thinking about, entering the portal themselves. That offensive line, which is probably the deepest position group on Michigan's roster, some of those guys may be entering the transfer portal, because as it stands right now, who's like the left tackle, Ladarius Henderson, right? The transfer from Arizona State. I think he's pretty much got that sewed up. Drake Nugent, maybe the starting center this year, transfer from Stanford. After that, Zach Zinter, he returned. I expect that he'll have the starting guard spot. Trevor Keegan will have the other starting guard spot. So it looks really interesting. Trente Jones may start at the other tackle. Miles Hinton, forgot to even mention Miles Hinton, former 5-star transfer from Stanford, right? So brother of Chris Hinton, former 5-star player for Michigan standout. So it is a very deep group, and those are just the fringe starters, or the starters, projected starters outside of Miles Hinton, of course. But we can go deeper, right? There's Greg Crippen, there's Andrew Gentry, a redshirt freshman, So these things, Raheem Anderson, we didn't even mention Raheem Anderson, who is a legit offensive lineman. So, and who knows where he is? He could be third on the depth chart behind some of these guys. So it will work itself out. Panic not, my friends. Before we move on to the next topic, be sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok now at Maize Madman. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. What do you think about Michigan's current depth chart? What do you think about the guys leaving out? And what do you think about what Michigan is going to do going forward? Moving right along, Michigan made the top 7 for a 4-star receiver, Micah Gilbert out of Charlotte, North Carolina. He is considered the 263rd ranked player in the nation, the 38th ranked wide receiver in the nation, and the number 5 player in the state of North Carolina. Of course, North Carolina, Michigan has put some emphasis on, because 5-star quarterback out of Providence Day School in Charlotte, North Carolina, Jaden Davis, obviously from North Carolina, his 2 teammates that Michigan is after. Actually, they're after more of his teammates, but in the 2024 class, Jordan Shipp and Channing Goodwin, both obviously from North Carolina. Then the number 1 player in next year's recruiting class, David Sanders, the offensive tackle from Providence Day, also a Michigan target. So this is a big one. He does have crystal balls. Speaking of Micah Gilbert, all of them are in favor of Notre Dame. So I don't expect Michigan to come out on top with this one. In fact, some of those crystal balls were put in just today. He received 2 crystal balls today from Sam Webb and from Brian Don. So I expect Micah Gilbert will be donning the gold, or the blue and gold, whatever it is over there in South Bend. But it's another situation, because he spoke about, after visiting Michigan, wanting to see the Wolverines air the ball out some more, wanting to see what they do with the pass game. understanding that they have All-American running back Blake Corum and definitely an All-American in the making, Donovan Edwards. So he understands all that, but still he's a wide receiver and he wants to catch passes. And I understand it. Michigan has a formula, and hopefully they can change some things up this season, right? You want to be as dynamic as possible, and I do expect Michigan to be a little more dynamic this season. But the most important top 7 Michigan made was for running back target out of Texas, Tatum, who has a crystal ball in Michigan's favor. He is the number 2 rated running back in the entire class. He is also a 4-star recruit, high 4-star recruit. He's right on the fringe of being a 5-star recruit. He is 5'10 and a half, 205 pounds, out of Longview, Texas. Tatum, who, as I just said, has one crystal ball in Michigan's favor. That was back in March. Of course, since then, Michigan has picked up 4-star running back Jordan Marshall out of Ohio. But Tatum is not going to let that deter him. He said it's just a little comp. Speaking of just a little competition. And, of course, you see what Michigan is doing currently with the likes of Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards with that 2-headed monster that they have this year. So there's no reason to believe that they can't do a similar thing with Tatum and Jordan Marshall in the future. And who's to say that, you know, how it shakes out? Maybe one guy just proves to be a lot better than the other guy, but they are closely matched in terms of their ratings. So I don't expect that to happen, but you never know how it shakes out when guys get on campus and get in camps. So Tatum, Michigan, joining teams like Texas and the other state, USC, in his top 7. As you can see some of this film, he is a complete and utter beast on the field. This one I expect to go in Michigan's favor. He has not set a commitment date to my knowledge, but I do expect Michigan to be the favorite right now. Micah Gilbert is expected to make his decision, I believe, May 4th. So gives Michigan a little time, I guess, if they can, you know, make a strong move. But as of right now, I think he goes to Notre Dame. That being said, we've reached the time in the video where I must bid you adieu. Like I said, be sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Everything is Maize Madman. Like and subscribe to the channel. And of course, stay angry, my friends. I'm upset.
Ladies and gentlemen, this might be our best season ever. My ratings, we're about to